I'm a marketing guy. I definitely value my job. I definitely value marketing, but I strongly believe that marketing itself is not enough. In my perspective, marketing is the amplifier of a product value, but the product value should be there. And then marketing comes in and starts to communicate that value to the audience, starts to amplify that, turn that into content, into messaging, into positioning, and so on.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Confessions of a B2B Entrepreneur. My name is Tom, your host, and today we have Vahagn, who leads marketing, and a sales team now for the Krisp AI meeting assistant. Very valuable episode for anyone leading a B2B marketing function, specifically talking about how marketing may not actually be that important and how we can influence the product team to increase retention, which then has a massive impact on the business. So that was my biggest takeaway, but you're going to get that in a second. Quick shout out to Fame for producing this episode. Let's jump into this discussion right now with Vahagn. This episode is sponsored by MailTrap, an email delivery platform designed for product companies. Go for high deliverability, growth-focused features, and industry-best analytics. Get 20% off for all plans with our promo code B2B Entrepreneur. Check the details in the description below. Vahagn, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me.
So I'm excited about this discussion because when we first spoke, you said something, or you have an opinion on marketing that I think not enough marketers have. And I think because the opinion is quite problematic for marketers because it almost devalues their skill set. But I want you to explain, which is this whole thing that you said before about how marketing alone is not going to save your company or your startup. So can you share more? And then I want to dig into this.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a marketing guy. I definitely value my job. I definitely value marketing, but I strongly believe that marketing itself is not enough. In my perspective, marketing is the amplifier of a product value, but the product value should be there. And then marketing comes in and starts to communicate that value to the audience, starts to amplify that, turn that into content, into messaging, into positioning, and so on. So without having a great product, marketing cannot do much. And that's something that I've seen in different companies. If the product is not there, if the product value is not there, marketing cannot do anything alone. It's a team sport, marketing alone cannot do anything.
It's a team sport, but if you could only have one player on your team, would you have marketing or would you have product?
Product, definitely.
Yeah, same here. Because other people are like, distribution is more important. And I'm like, well, if you have loads of distribution, but the product's completely rubbish, you don't have a business. But if you have a good product, then you will slowly get a business because you'll get customers stay and then also refer. So totally in agreement. My next question, but before my next question, was this something that you always believed in, or was this working at Krisp that made you see the importance of having a great product?
Yeah, definitely. Probably one of the most important metrics that we have in the business is retention. And retention has very direct and close correlation with the product value and the product quality. I've seen that happening in different stages of our business. And probably that's one of the metrics that is more basically getting more and more important in the product business, retention. And that's pretty much something that product has the most impact on retention. It's not about just marketing. It's not about messaging. It's purely about product and the value that customers get. So that's something that we see happens in our business when we believe that a feature has a good quality or the product that we offer has a good quality. We also see that there's a high retention associated with that certain product or feature.
Totally agree. The team sometimes take the piss out of me because in every other meeting, I keep saying retention is the foundation of growth. It sounds like that's what you guys also say as well. Makes total sense. Okay. But then the next question, which I think is maybe more important, is how then, because obviously marketing is not responsible for making the product better or making retention better. How do you think marketing can influence the product or tech teams to try and make the product better?
Yeah, great question. I think marketing and product relationship and communication is a two-way street, right? You share insights as a marketer with the product team, and you also receive insights and information. But I think properly validating ideas that exist in the product team, that's an area that marketing can help, especially if there are ideas about like audiences, testing a particular feature and so on. And that's something that we keep doing at Krisp. Let's say there's an idea coming from product team. They're thinking about like two type of different messaging that can appear on product, or we are thinking about like doubling down on a certain feature. But those ideas need validation, and marketing can help validating those ideas through certain campaigns, through A/B testing, through like testing different sort of messaging with search ads, different type of ads, and so on. So from that perspective, I think one of the most important areas that marketing can help product is validating ideas that product team is developing.
Interesting. So what I'm hearing is that the marketing team, basically the marketing team can be of value to the product team through idea validation, which product teams really need, or like good product teams do that, right? And so are you then saying then if the marketing team becomes useful to the product team in that way, then the product team are more likely to listen to the marketing team when they provide good insights?
Yeah, definitely. Because let's be honest, most of SaaS companies are product centric. So product teams make the final decisions, but it's more likely that they will listen to marketing team if you have insights and if you have proof, right? So let's say you run a campaign on LinkedIn, it can be an ads campaign, and then you have evidence that certain type of messaging is performing much better compared to the other type. So there's evidence for that. And if you share that as an insight with the product team, it's more likely that they will kind of accept and take that as an input. So from that perspective, I am very much into having these data-driven conversations between marketing and product. When marketing comes up with clear insights, clear data that are validated in the real market, and then product team takes that as an input, which informs the product roadmap, like features roadmap and so on.
Got it. So let's say I have a meeting assistant tool and I'm running ads on LinkedIn and we're testing like 5 different headlines. And one headline talks about how much time is being saved by the user when they get the notes summarized by the AI in the meeting assistant tool after the meeting. You would then share the click-through data on that ad showing twice as much as the rest of the headlines with the product team. And then that, in theory, could change the roadmap of the product to improve that feature.
Definitely. And not just the roadmap, it can also impact areas like onboarding, let's say. Like a meeting assistant has multiple features like transcription, recording, AI notes, and so on. And sometimes you find it difficult to choose one particular feature that you want to highlight into the onboarding funnel and so on. And those are the areas that marketing insights can help, because if you see that certain feature or certain messaging performs much better in the advertisement, it might indicate that that's a more important feature for customers and for like target ICPs. So yeah, that's a great example.
I assume that you have a good relationship with like the product lead in the area of Krisp that you run marketing for. So my first question is that assumption correct? A, and then B, do you have any tips for the listeners, for any marketing leaders in the audience for building that relationship?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I have a great relationship with the product team. So outside of marketing team, I spend most of my time with the product leaders, the product team, even developers, engineers, and so on. And as it comes to building and improving relationship, I would say coming up with ideas that are backed with data is probably the best way of building that trust and gaining that trust. Because so many times, like there are so many ideas, each of us are like creative, we have different ideas that can inform the roadmap and product features, but it's important to have validation and proven evidence for each of the ideas that we are sharing. So from that perspective, I would say having clear evidences for the suggestions and for offerings that you have for the product team can be a good way to build that relationship.
Absolutely. One thing that used to annoy me when I was a B2B marketing, I was head of demand generation at a B2B SaaS company, a bit smaller than you guys, but I would get loads of ideas from the whole business coming to me about things to market on. So turning the tables, A, do you get that from the Krisp team? And then B, how do you like manage the inbound idea pipeline from other areas of the business?
Yeah, actually, I would say that's a good problem to have because on the other side, there are businesses that are struggling with lack of ideas. So no one is sharing ideas inside the team. But at Krisp, we are very welcoming to ideas and we like that. So having so many ideas is good for the business. But I think you need to have a framework for evaluating and prioritizing those ideas. And we usually use that ICE framework, right? Important, confidence, and easiness. So there are three metrics that we use to evaluate and grade each idea. And we have borrowed that from one of the most famous books in business growth, Hacking Growth by Sean Ellis. I think that's the idea that he talks about in that book. And when there is a clear method and framework for evaluating ideas, I think it becomes more transparent and fair and clear for the people that why we choose certain ideas, why we kind of decide to not do some of them. And yeah, to keep it short, I would say having a clear framework, having a clear methodology to evaluate ideas is a great way of managing that pipeline.
Yeah, I love that ICE framework. I literally sent an email this morning explaining how we're going to prioritize ideas for a different role. And I said, potential to increase capacity or save costs. That basically means importance, I think. Difficulty to implement, which is easiness. And then time to implement, which maybe is different from the ICE. So it's importance. So it was importance, easiness. And what was the C? Cost.
Confidence.
Confidence.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
yeah, how much confident you are that that idea is correct and that idea will work. By the way, I like your version because it's more agile, I would say. Like it's also includes pace as a factor, which is important.
That was a very diplomatic answer, I think, that you gave there, saying that it's great to have this, a good idea. So there's probably also the right idea. I think as long as they're funneled and then put through a process like you have and managed well, then yes, all ideas are good. I want to shift now to like the actual marketing work that you've been doing at Krisp. And first, could you just explain to the audience, because I know there's a couple of areas in the business. There's like the meeting assistant. Is that the part that you work on?
Yes, that's my main focus.
Okay, epic. And that's also great because that's the thing that most people in the audience will be aware of because it's the user, the B2C one. What I really want to know is, I believe that you guys got G2 to create a new category, and you were put there first, which I think any B2B marketing leader really wants that to happen. So can you share about like how you came up with that positioning first, and then B, how you got G2 to create a category for you?
Yeah, sure. So noise cancellation was the first feature that we launched as part of Krisp AI Meeting Assistant. And in 2019, when we launched the product, actually no one was searching for noise cancellation. So that's a term that no one was looking for, no one was searching for. And we had no place to belong literally, because when you were looking at like G2 or other platforms like Trustpilot, there was no category called noise cancellation. There were some relevant categories, but none of them were specifically about noise cancellation. So we started to have that conversation with G2 that, hey, we've built a product. And by the way, that's the product of the year on Product Hunt. So yeah, we won that award back in 2019. But on G2 website, there were no place that we could list the products. So at first they were not very serious in like responding or engaging in the conversations. But then they realized that, hey, this category is growing, especially during the early COVID times, and people started to work from home. the need for noise cancellation tool were kind of increasing. So there were demand for that certain type of product. And when like we met G2, we discussed that, hey, like this is a specific product. This is the problem. This is the solution. That's what we are trying to improve. And then during that process, we were able to convince them that this is a distinct product category, and they created that. So we were the first product that were listed on that category, obviously, because we created that. But then we noticed that lots of other companies are also appearing in that list, which is great. So yeah, it all started from there.
You know how most companies, like, they have like a average undifferentiated product, and then they want to create their own new category, because that's in some book, I think, like Blue Ocean Strategy or something like that. But what you guys...
Typical, actually. Yeah, I would say it's not easy to build a category, to be honest. And I never had such an experience in my previous companies. So before working at Krisp, I always been in companies that were operating on an existing established market. And the main goal of marketing team has been to just gain share, more market share from an existing market. But in the case of Krisp, we had to build that, and it's difficult because first, you have to explain to the people and to audience that there is a problem. And usually humans are good in spotting the problems that are in the lower ends of that Maslow's hierarchy, right? The problems that are related to survival, food, shelter, and so on. But we are not always good in spotting the problems that are in the higher stages of the pyramid, like self-actualization, productivity, career growth, and so on. And those are the problems that SaaS tools usually solve. So SaaS tools are not solving problems that are about survival, but they solve problems that are about self-actualization. And so many times people do not spot the problems in those areas. So yeah, first you have to educate them that, hey, there's a problem. Second, you have to convince them that that problem is important, because there are so many problems in life, but not all of them are important. And then you need to talk about solutions and position yourself as a potential and good solution for that problem, which is also important. So that's the journey that we have went through when like building this new product category.
I guess some companies don't really have a unique position, then they try and create one, and then they might go to G2 Cloud and be like, can we create this? And then G2 Cloud probably like, no, this just complete bullshit. But you guys did actually have the first new product in this new category. What would you say has been the most effective campaign, if you're happy to share, that you guys have run at Krisp?
I can't mention a specific campaign. I can talk about channels. And for us, word of mouth and SEO has been the most important channels during the past 5-6 years. SEO is super important for capturing high intent inbound traffic. And that's a channel that we started to invest very early on in 2018 when we were like basically launching the product. And word of mouth is also super important because the traffic that is coming from like reference, from friends reference, and so on, like has a much higher conversion rate compared to the other type of traffics. So those two channels has been the most important ones for us.
But on the word of mouth piece, is that like, does that belong to marketing? Like, is there anything that you guys do to influence that, or is that more the product side?
I think that's the outcome of everything that we do in both product and marketing, because the only way that people will share your product with their friends is that they gain value themselves, right? I have to gain a good value from a product, and then I can share it with my friends. So from that perspective, I would say that's the outcome of the work that product does and also the marketing. So yeah, that's the end result.
Cool. And then are you guys doing anything like different in SEO apart from obviously like writing great content and then getting the backlinks and then optimizing the site?
Yeah, so that's something that we do. That's a foundation. But in the past couple of years, we're also seeing good compound results from SEO plus PR. So that's a channel that we also invest in, which has direct and indirect impacts on SEO. So as a suggestion, I would suggest to always use PR as a kind of helping channel to SEO, because SEO itself can perform to some extent. But now that we have these AI overviews, we have LLMs and so on, PR is also a super important component there.
But the thing with PR for me, or the problem I think with PR for most B2B SaaS companies, is that like their product might not be the like sexiest or most exciting thing for a media outlet to write about. So do you have any tips on like getting them to do that?
Sure. I think you shouldn't necessarily have the sexiest product. It's more about like associating your product and business with trends that are happening in the world, right? So let's say the new trend is about AI agents, it's about MCPs and so on. And then the company CEO or co-founders can have some perspective about how like MCPs can impact meetings, or how AI agents can have basically improve human communication and so on. And I think that's a good playbook when you try to find areas that you can associate your company and product with some trends that are happening in the world.
Got it. And so then like when you're doing outreach to the journalists, because they have to write about this stuff anyway, it's good for them to get that unique insight. It makes their article better, and presumably they're then happy to give the backlink.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I think first they have to love the product and the idea. Then if they're happy with what you offer as a product and as a value, then they might also provide a backlink, because that's not always the case. There are some PR coverages that doesn't include a backlink, but the best ones should.
Yeah. It's annoying, isn't it? When you're like expecting the backlink, you wait ages for an article, you don't get it. Okay. I also understand that you guys have had to like evolve and change marketing or user acquisition strategies over time. Can you share a bit about that? Well, from my training as an online marketer, in that like more scammy world, I used to be in that world, not anymore. You're basically looking to try and exploit arbitrages. Maybe like a certain type of Facebook ad is working really well, but then more people go and do it and then it dies. You can't use that strategy anymore. So I assume that or what I've seen in like the normal marketing world of like real brands is that happens, but sometimes it's a bit slower. So I'd love to understand your process for like assessing marketing strategies and then evolving or tweaking them over time.
Yeah, I think that's something that keeps happening. Marketing channels have this tendency to get saturated in general. So if there's a channel that you push too much, it easily gets tired and saturated. Let's say ads, influencer marketing, and so on. So I think that's a continuous practice that all marketing teams have. And one thing that we keep doing and that I like is running these rapid experimentations through different channels, right? Because unless you test or unless you run these experiments, you cannot understand whether a channel is good or not for you. Let's say Reddit advertisement is a trending channel. It's very hot these days. Like everyone is talking about how to utilize Reddit, how to use Reddit's ads platform. But in order to turn that into a channel which will impact your marketing strategy, you first need to validate that. And that usually happens through running these rapid experimentations. When you choose a certain goal, you spend some money and you try to validate if that channel exists. So I think having this continuous experimentations is a great channel, especially now that everything is changing every day, literally, especially if you are in like high tech or AI business. Everything is changing. The way that customers discover the product is also changing. And as a marketing team, you need to like keep monitoring this stuff. Like what's the new trend? What's the new channel? How people discover your product and so on.
Totally agree. I'd love to understand what your like day-to-day is in the role at the moment, leading marketing for the meeting system product. Obviously now we're on a podcast. But like the rest of today, for example, like what are you actually doing?
Yeah. So as part of the marketing team, I also manage the sales team that fits under our marketing umbrella. And since that's a relatively new channel for us, I spend most of my time just basically building that function.
And so just to clarify, that's like presumably doing outbound to bigger companies who might need like hundreds or thousands of users on the meeting assistant.
Yeah, so that's part of the plan. That's actually a rapid experimentations that we are doing now, the outbound motion. But the main focus right now is on inbound because we have like this high quality leads coming in. They want to talk to a person to basically ask the questions. So the main motion for our sales team is now inbound, and we are trying to build and maximize that function before starting the outbound motion. So that's where I usually spend my time recently. But there are also other important channels that we are trying to scale, and paid advertisement is one of them. So now we are testing different channels like search ads, Reddit, LinkedIn, and so on. And that's an area that we are spending a lot of money. So it requires lots of attention. And the rest of my days, spent on monitoring the results, having these iterations and so on.
You are actually in the ad platforms setting up campaigns or like reviewing metrics, or do you have people to do that for you?
No, we have a team. So we have in-house people that work on different projects in the marketing team. We also work with agencies as part of our performance marketing and PR campaigns. My role is to basically look at the numbers each day to make sure that the cost of acquisitions, the conversion rates that we are getting from different campaigns make sense. And then as a team, we come up with ideas on how we should improve those campaigns. It can be about messaging, it can be about landing page experience and so on.
So you mentioned about only like the sales team being a new thing and picking up the inbound leads. Like obviously you guys have been having inbound leads for like 6 years. So for the past like 6 years, have you had no one that would talk to any lead that wanted to like buy loads of licenses, or was that done by other people?
So before we established this new team for the meeting assistant business, we only had a self-serve motion. When like people were discovering the product, then they were attaching a credit card, adding seats and so on. And then we realized that in order to target like upper market, bigger companies, enterprises, and so on, we need to build this sales motion. So that's why we started to having salespeople inside the marketing team. But for the enterprise business, we had the team in place since 2019, because for enterprise business, like having a sales team is a must, right? The motion is mostly sales-led. Sales team needs to be there, talk with customers, and so on. But for the meeting assistant business, the main motion has been product-led. So marketing and sales have been more on the assisting side. And that's why it happens much later compared to the enterprise business.
Makes sense. So historically, people could still come in self-serve and then add a load of seats, but only now they can like get on a call, and then we have people that are trying to help them see if they need any more seats, etc.
Definitely. We still try to optimize the funnel as being self-served first, because that's the main way and motion that self-serve and PLG products grow. But we also have the sales team as an assisting function, especially for teams and customers that want to talk with a person before paying.
Vahagn, epic conversation. I can't believe we got Maslow's hierarchy of needs into a conversation about B2B SaaS marketing. So I'm very happy with that. Also love what you guys are doing over at Krisp. Seems like a very, as you mentioned, data-driven like a marketing culture. And I think the biggest insight for me here is that if we're trying to influence product teams, don't just like come up with ideas about how to make the product better, like give them numbers from the campaigns that they can't get anywhere else. So obviously we'll link to your LinkedIn profile, we'll link to Krisp, Meeting Assistant. Anything else we should link to or mention?
Oh, thank you very much, Tom. I really enjoyed. Yeah, have a great day.
Epic. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks team. What do we think? Get that measurable data from your campaigns and hand that to the product team. Get them to love you get them to then improve the product and retention, that makes your job as a marketer a lot easier. That's my biggest insight. So thank you so much to Vahagn for coming on. Thanks to Fame for producing this episode. If you like a show like this, go to fame.so and request a proposal. And of course, thanks to you for listening.